World-renowned rugby union coach Tim Sampson of the Western Force, Canberra Vikings, Melbourne Rebels and now the Fijian Drua opens up about his childhood, the experiences that shaped him, becoming a father and the values-driven philosophy behind his leadership that have made him such a legend of a coach.
Mum passed away young. I was 18 at the time, so she was 43. 6 months from when diagnosed to passing away. It just comes from left field, and as an 18-year-old, I'm out living my best life. Rugby career was going okay for me. Looking back on it, I had that she'll be right mentality, but it went so quick. Something I wish that I'd spend more time with her. Like 12 months after that, I went through something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I was playing rugby and one of my best mates, he was unfortunately killed on the rugby field in a game. So that was all within 12, 18 months.
You care about everybody on the field, but also about their family. And I can imagine that it probably comes from that, knowing that regardless of what you do, you've got a life, you've got a family, and anything could actually happen.
Yeah, as a coach or a leader, staying true to your values and who you are, and I think it's really important, and being authentic is a big part of that.
Very exciting that we've finally made this happen, and it's been really interesting. I've been watching your journey, and it seems as though you've been watching the podcast where you saw Sitch on there, and so it's nice to have you sitting in the same chair as Sitchy, some of the best leaders I know.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Resource Podcast.
It's good to be on the Resource, and I've been following your journey too, Becky, from when we first met in 2018, and I'm loving your work and your content, so well done.
Stop. And it's interesting because when we did meet, I was lucky enough to train you in the gym, where it was your like little sacred place where you didn't have to make any decisions, but you would just be going hard. You're like a quiet achiever where you're like, don't look at me, don't talk to me too much, just let me get on with it, with a big smile on your face. That's what I remember when you're training.
Oh, there you go. Well, I was probably hurt. It was a smile of hurt because they were enjoyable mornings, and you certainly got the energy in that place, Becky. There was a good crew there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
We had some good times in the gym and those workouts.
Yeah, we were lucky. It's interesting to speak about how Perth is such a small place, and then also sport ends up being such a small place. So lucky enough to have it was like your whole family would be there some of the times where you'd be able to come in and train. And so for context, for people who might not have been following along on your journey, we were able to meet when I was working for F45 at the time. So that's what we're talking about. If anybody who's done F45, it's definitely like Hurt Locker on the cardio days where you're like, just leave me be. And you were coaching the Western Force at the time, which had just gone through a little bit of a turbulent, well, not a little bit of a turbulent time, a pretty freaking hectic time. And you'd come in and stepped in to be the coach of, the WA Rugby. And what was really awesome about that, and I found myself really lucky, was to have, yourself, the guys, the girls coming in and training when I know as not an athlete that they're going hard, they're getting, trained hard to the point of where you need to win the competitions. And then we're lucky enough to have them come in and train with us, alongside us, or sometimes you do the kind of, the team kind of catch up. So that's what I remember of those times, and being obsessed with rugby, even though I had no idea what it was previously. And a part of that was, watching you as a leader, watching Sitch as, he wasn't captain the whole time, but all the guys and all the rest of the team coming in as well. What was it like for you? There's so much of a story behind that I didn't necessarily know about. You only got to see you on face value. Who was Tim before he was going hard, doing millions of burpees on the floor? Trying to escape coaching for a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what it was, exactly that, to get out of the daily grind and to clear the head in whatever way works, really. We're all different, and that was something at the time which I loved, just getting up early with the family, as you said sometimes, and Kristen and I think we partnered up in F45 there sometimes, and there wasn't much talking going on, but yeah, that was my little escape and something I really enjoyed, and you made it fun. And we did get the players there a bit which is important to get them out in the community as well, and for them not to just go through the same routine every day and through the daily grind, same in, same out. But yeah, prior to coming here, I was fortunate enough to get into coaching post-playing straight away. As soon as I finished playing in Brisbane, I started coaching, and I think I remember in my mid-20s, while I was still playing, I had a coach who I connected really well with, spoke a lot about coaching. Damon Emtage was the coach, and he had some great ideas, and I loved his coaching philosophy and how he coached. So I sort of gradually tapped into his rugby brain more and more as the years went on, and I knew I wanted to be a coach while I was still playing. And as I said, I got into it straight away. I was in a family business then in Brisbane, which allowed me to coach on the side, and I was very grateful to my father, who I was in business with, to allow me to do that and essentially chase my dreams. And went to Brisbane, coaching Brisbane, sorry. I went to Canberra for a couple of years, and then just got a left field phone call to come over here and coach a Western Force in a startup club after the disappointing news of 2017, which affected so many people, and I loved it. It was a great challenge.
Yeah, that's what, and it's so interesting as well, because so many people, it affected so many different people on in a negative way, in a positive way, and just in a way that was, like you said, left of field for a lot of different people in that. But I feel as though I could definitely tell that there was excitement in the opportunity that now what Western Force gets to be. And, you were such a part of that. And I remember, I didn't know much about rugby at the time, but just seeing the transitions of players and coaches and all of that kind of stuff, and the groundedness that you seemed to bring when you came over to be able to coach the guys. I'm always so interested in so many things. That's why I was excited to have you on today, of, like what made you the man that you are and what helps you be so grounded, but also, who gave you that opportunity, and what was the feeling when you had the phone call to be like, because you were coaching club junior Wallabies previous to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did it feel when you got that phone call, and then what was your ethos coming into it?
Yeah, I can still remember the moment pretty clearly, and we've just been to Coffs Harbour on the northern New South Wales coast there at an OzTag tournament with my two girls, and we're driving back to Canberra, and the whole family was in the car, and my mother-in-law was in the car as well, and my manager called me, and obviously had him on speaker because I was driving, and he just said, look at Matt Hodgson, who was a huge part in getting or keeping the Western Force going at that point after finishing up playing in 2017 as a captain for many years. I'm very grateful for the opportunity that he gave me to come over in my first full-time proper head coach role, and I think 3 days later I had another random phone call from a no number, and it was Andrew Twiggy Forrest, EA, and she said, would you mind having a quick chat to Andrew in the next half hour? And I said, look, to be honest with you, I'm at a presentation night. It was end of season awards night with the club in Canberra. I said, I've had 2 or 3 beers, so I prefer not to right now. But
you'd be like, hey,
it could have gone either way, that conversation. But he called. Well, I asked if I could do it early the following morning, and they said that's fine. So he called the next morning. Had a chat for about an hour, and hardly spoke about rugby. It was a genuine character call, and he asked a lot about my upbringing and family and why I'd like to make the move over. So it was my wife said, are you nervous? Is it daunting? I said, well, I'm not at all. I've just got to be myself here and see how it pans out. So worked out well.
Yeah, it really did work out well for so many people. And so speaking of family and your upbringing, I think that's what attracts me to be able to have a conversation with you and get along with so many people. I think as a coach, you have to be somebody who people respect and people want to listen to. right? In whether it's workplaces, whether it's in teams. And I have definitely witnessed that can be a challenging thing to do because you have to make calls of cutting people from a team, welcoming people to a team, and you have to deliver that news a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that upbringing and your morals and your values would be a huge part of who you are and how you've been able to, conduct yourself as a coach and as a father and as a partner. And where has that come from? What shaped you? What are some of the moments that when you were younger shaped you into the person that you are?
Yeah, it's. I think you're shaped by your parents, and then as the years go on, probably your peers. So your mum and dad, I think. Yeah, I remember, growing up, just their lifestyle they lived was. They worked hard, but they enjoyed themselves, and I think we all work hard, and I'm sure through that generation they had to work equally as hard as what we are. But I remember the enjoyment factor in their life as well, and they're part of rugby clubs, netball clubs. I remember Sundays, Mum would play tennis, and we'd be out all day as a family, and they'd have barbecue and live the social life on a Sunday, and we just tagged along as kids, and I always had a lot of respect for Dad. He worked tirelessly hard for our family and 7 days a week for many, many years and travelled a lot. And I think that was just ingrained in me. It's just that work hard, sort of play hard mentality and enjoy life while you can along the way.
Yeah. And so from that as well, I know that, parents do play such a big role in you and, you're a parent now as well. And I can see watching with Mia and Alyssa that you're trying your very best to be the best kind of parents and show up the best way you possibly can. I know that through your journey as well, there's been some really poignant moments of, loss and things that haven't kind of gone your way that I can imagine have shaped, who you are and how you react to situations and, help you be a human being when you're, when other people are going through that. Can you share with me some of those things that you've experienced, maybe the toughest times that you've had to experience in life that have shaped you?
Yeah, I think in my personal life, personal side of things, Mum passed away young. I was 18 at the time, so she was 43. But it was very sudden, quite quick. 6 months from when diagnosed to passing away, and that 6 months it just comes from left field. And as an 18-year-old, I'm out living my best life and starting my working career, and rugby career was going okay for me with what I wanted to achieve as a player. I was loving it, and left field news. I'll never forget it when Mum. I was actually hanging washing on the line. And Mum followed me downstairs and walked out the back and told me the news. And I think, it's looking back on it, I had that she'll be right mentality, and because she probably did. She didn't want to put too much of a burden on us. I think the three kids, and she had that I'm going to be right here mentality. So that rubbed off onto me. But it went so quick, and something I wish and that I probably did was to appreciate more what she was going through and to spend more time with her. Like I said, I was out as an 18-year-old doing what 18-year-old lads do. I was having a good social life as well as my rugby career, and but it went so quick, and I just think, looking back on it, damn it, I wish I had have done more with Mum in while she was ill, crook. So that's something I took out of that. So I appreciate the moments now with my coaching career. When I am back home with my family, which is only a short time, when I able to come back in between seasons, is to spend time with them as much as possible. And and then what was probably 12 months after that, I went through something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I was playing rugby, and one of my best mates who I grew up with primary school through high school, played a lot of rugby and sport with, he was unfortunately killed on the rugby field in a game. So that was all within 12, 18 months. As an 18-year-old, there's a lot to go through. And I struggled. I put my hand up there, for about a year after that, and didn't know which way I wanted to go. And I didn't get up to any mischief or, I was clear in my mind. I wasn't in a bad place, but I just didn't know which way to go. So I actually went overseas, which is the best thing I did, just for a few months to get away from everything, and came back and got on with life, I suppose. But yeah, that's probably where my values in life, and hopefully how I've fathered my girls is probably that period, late teens through those two unfortunate years, or 18 months or so, it's probably what shaped me.
Yeah. That's hectic to go through, I think, at any age, especially when, like you said, your presence isn't something that you're feeling or doing at 18. You are present to partying and going hard, and like you said, as an athlete and being a part of a team, this a team environment, there's constantly things to do as well. So that would have been so challenging, definitely losing your mum with 6 months. It's not a lot of time to kind of process what's happening either. And then losing your mate on the field. Were you playing, do you mind me asking, were you playing on the field with him?
Yeah. And we had a really, really good bunch of mates. A lot of us have played through junior rugby together, so we're pretty tight and still are to this day.
Yeah. And were you guys able to kind of process that together? Did you have a wake, or did you have like a celebration?
Yeah, a lot went on because of the incident. We went through the courts for a while, which is tough. There was a lot. Soon after the incident that we had to go through, we gathered at the field or the club, our club, the following day. To be briefed by our club and the situation where it was at and what could probably happen, which it was excellent from the club. And then the club was outstanding. They got counsellors in over the next couple of weeks to assist us. So it was he was such a great lad. He had the world at his feet. Rugby. He's doing a carpentry apprenticeship, so he was going to be sorted, and he was a good-looking young man as well. So
double barrel.
He would have been right.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing as well. It makes so much sense now. Actually, you say that, Tim, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that at the same freaking time. So you weren't able to process either. But it does make sense that you are so people-oriented and safety, like that you care about everybody on the field. That you care not only about them, how they play and, how they show up, but also about their family and everything as well. And I don't know, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I can imagine that it probably comes from that, knowing that outside, off the field, regardless of what you do, you've got a life, you've got a family, you've got like the world at your feet, regardless of who you are, and anything could actually happen.
Yeah.
It's like that, that moment of like anything can happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I think, as a coach or a leader in whatever field, staying true to your values and who you are, and as much influence you can have on someone, I think is really important, and being authentic is a big part of that. And I remember a young lad here at the Western Force. His father was he was crook, and we're about to go over east during COVID into a hub, and we were told it was going to be 30 odd days, but in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to be longer. And I said to him, "Mate, are you sure you want to come?" Like family was part of one of our values at the club, which is something that's really important, right? You could set up all these mission statements and values and behaviours. Well, when it comes to the crunch, you've got to live by them. So in this situation, I said to the player, I said, "Mate, look, we've got family written on our wall. My advice," I use the example with mum, is to spend time with your dad. rugby's, yes, I know you're chasing your dream, but family's number one. And there's a little bit of advice that I gave him, and he made the decision in the end which way he wanted to go, which was his personal decision. And you stick to your values and have that influence on young men and try and make them better. That's very important, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely having a coach who gives a shit. Not to say that I've been in teams before, but relating it to having been in workplaces, sometimes I think everybody gives a shit. It's just they show how they give a shit. And like you said, it's what's shaped them in the past that shapes their values. And a lot of the time, similar to teams, it's we need to win, we need to get this done. They're like laser focused on getting that instead of remembering that, each human has the body to look after, a family to look after, and they're there for a reason, and reminding each person of that when they kind of lose sight of it themselves.
Yes.
Would be, really important. Have you had to, have there been any other moments where you've had to, a player maybe is either going through something at home, but also seems to be, because psychology of sport is huge. It's not easy to show up to be physical, but you do the thing, your body gets better and bigger and your muscles, react to the training. Whereas when it comes to psychology, you kind of don't know what to expect from each kind of player. Have you ever had any players where you can see that they're struggling, there might not necessarily be any catalyst, or you might not necessarily know, but where you've had to intervene or get them on side again, or give them advice, or be able to help them through so that they can show up as their best self?
Yeah, I think that every day just about. You got 40-odd athletes who you're coaching, and I think that I heard a great one recently that the old saying, one size fits all. Well, it doesn't. One size fits one. And that's, as a leader and a coach, you've got to try and work out exactly that, what works for one player compared to the bloke next to him. And, it's I've had players knock on my door and for a whole range of things. Miscarriages with their partner, or family illness, or had one player on Valentine's Day said things didn't go well for him on Valentine's Day, and they were breaking up, and we're human, and tears are shed. Not re-signing players, players who suffer a serious injury. It's all of that. Anxiety, which is well and truly within high performance teams. This one lad, he had just joined our squad, so he was only new, and it was his first day in, and he was late. And as staff or coaches, we're saying, geez, this isn't a good start for this young fella, come on, mate, pull your socks up. But we found out later through our PDM, player development manager, that he was so anxious that he got to HQ and he was just sitting in the car. He couldn't get himself up and out of the car to come into work for the first day. So, we got to respect that then, and we got to work with that player and as an individual, and put our arm around him for a bit. He was only young. He was only 19. So just, I think that's part of the challenge, right, of being a coach and a leader is understanding that we're all different. And if I could just go into my philosophy a little bit, the understanding piece is a big part of that. And I work by a little acronym of TRUE, and that's me being true to myself and being authentic, and not shifting away from my values in life. And the T stands for trust each other, the R is respect each other, the U is understand each other, and then the E is enjoy each other. So you get the respect, you get the R right first, I think everything else will flow from there. If you get the respect of someone, you're going to trust them, they're going to open up and have good, honest conversations with you, so that understanding piece will come naturally. And then you get to enjoy stuff. The pressure, you get to enjoy everything with that person. So that's what I work to every day. And when I first started coaching, I had these big paragraphs around my coaching philosophy, but as the years went on, I just narrowed my focus and said, make sure you nail this, day in, day out. So.
What is Untapped? What made you start that, and what is it that you do, and what is it that you help people with?
When we go in and help clients around whatever problems they're having, it's typically a performance issue. The performance comes as a result of the system, right? And people interact with the system. So in a lot of respects, it's not a technical solution, it's a human solution that's lacking. And that is the work that we do in Untapped, where everyone is treated as an individual, and what coaching they're going to need depends on their own experiences. The idea at the time with Untapped would be to provide leadership training, coaching. So Untapped for me was about untapping people's potential, investing in people, like the people who join our business, the podcast, the undergrads. If we're able to do that, we should do it. Something that's always stuck with me, and it's one of our values at Untapped. People go where they are wanted, and they stay where they are appreciated. If you can create an environment where people want to be part of that, and then you value them and appreciate them, then you've got a great platform for whatever it is you want to achieve. So that's Untapped in a nutshell.
Yeah, because I suppose as well, I love that. I'm going to be popping that up on the wall, and because it is important to be values led, because otherwise you end up getting, what do they say? If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, and you kind of have to have that Northern Star. And I think respect 100% is really important to have, not only for others but for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So I love that. And did that get shaped over time? Like, have you had times, you're speaking about the young fellow who had anxiety. Who were you as a player? Did you ever suffer with anxiety? Have you had to ever, console yourself out of, feeling that stress of game day, or, like halftime and you're like, shit, we need to get our shit together here?
Yeah, as a player, I was very calm. And probably this is where my coaching or leadership qualities were there when I didn't know it as a player. But I probably was there. I was thinking, I've got to help this bloke more so than myself. So I was always pretty calm and comfortable. I don't get nervous too much. But yeah, no, certainly as coaching. I think there's moments where as a coach or a leader where you lose focus of what you're actually there wanting to achieve in that moment. And I remember a game here with the Western Force at half time, and we didn't have a great first half, and I was all worked up, right? And I went down at half time and let the other coaches say their piece first, and then I came in at the end and gave the lads a bit of a rev up. But reflected after the game around my halftime address, and I couldn't remember what I said. I was that worked up.
Just out of body experience.
Yeah, that's right. And that was a lesson learned for me. It was I have to find ways to calm myself down before I address the team. And I spoke to someone about that. Justin Langer gave me some good advice, and he said, just go to the corner before you go down in the lift and to go into change rooms, and just take a couple of deep breaths just on your own. Just stare at the wall, take a moment, and then head down to the change rooms so that you're laser focused around your delivery and what key messages you want to get across. But I didn't that day.
Yeah. Wasn't like a moment that you're like, hey, that was it. That was a good moment. Do you think, when you talk about a rev up, what does a rev up look like? One that you're like, yep, I'm happy with that. You walk away and think, I've done a good job with getting them inspired and getting them back in the game, and it's ended being the right thing that people wanted to hear, and you've come out with a win. Do you remember any moments where you've gone, okay, yeah, that's what they needed to hear, that's what I needed to hear? Can you take us back to any times where you've had that? Yeah,
certainly, a fair bit. And you put so much practice into a performance. We was trying to get a perfection throughout the week into a performance that is going to ultimately set you up for the win. And I think you just got to, like I touched on before, just narrow your focus to what your key points were at the start of the week. The game plan that you went in with might have changed. So you got to go, off track a little bit, but just coming back to main points around what you set up during the week, and also back to your values. What's important to us in this moment right now? Our values that we set up at the start of the year or last year, whatever it might be, is not to go away from them.
Yeah.
Always fall back on your key foundations of what means most to us.
Yeah. And I want to speak about the values that for the Western Force team at that time, watching them in the change room, like watching them when they just have the dog in them when they come out and they're like, we're here to win that day. And they've put the prep in, like that was probably my favourite part was, you know, like when you're watching a team and you can tell that each one of them wants to win. And I know that seems strange to say, but everybody's watched it before where one team is there to win and another team is there. It's like they're defending. They're there to win and they want to win.
Yeah.
But they're in the defence and they're constantly kind of chasing their tail. But watching the crew go in with that, I love the dog mentality. I know some people, it might have a negative connotation, but watching when somebody just takes the opportunities, they're diving over things, they're kicking, you know, like as a coach, how do you feel about that? Are you like, why it's been a bit too risky over here, you know, like cool your jets? Or are you like, I want you to just go all in? What's your advice when you've, you know, you can tell that the guys are fired up and they're ready to go, but the team, you know, that they're facing, they need to be a little bit more calmer or collect or a little bit more grounded. Like, how do you deal with those moments and how do you feel when you're watching the fight in them?
Yeah, I think when you have a squad who you know are going out into battle and have that fight and dog in them, it's pretty proud because that's hard to coach into people. So what's key there, I think, is or are your leaders. And I'm certainly hugely competitive with everything I do. Just ask my daughters that. If we have practicing netball shoot in the backyard, I've got to win.
You're actually in a team, aren't you? Like secretly you go.
Exactly. And then, you know, the support staff have to obviously have that mentality as well, which normally they do. And then your key players, your leadership group. So selective around, first of all, who you recruit is really important into the squad. Character is hugely important. And just through conversations and talking to other people, you can pick up on whether guys have that little bit of mungle in them and that roll your sleeves up, hard work mentality, which I love.
Yeah.
And our little slogan in those first couple of years, I just remembered 2018, 2019 was work hard, stay humble. And it was plastered all around our change rooms and workplace, whatnot. But yeah, get in the right people who have these key traits in the leadership group or you know, senior roles within the squad is really important. And then throughout the week, that core group of players is just to continually put the Bunsen burner under them and communicate and be transparent with them frequently around key messages, around those key guys. So, yeah, I think it's whenever I see that within a squad, it is a proud moment because, like I touched on before, it's hard to coach into some guys. But you know, if I talk about those years here at the Force in 2018, 19, 20, I remember talking to coaches and you know, they would say to me after a game, geez, you blokes never go away. You just got so much fight in you. We know that you're not going to go away for the full 90 minutes. And when you hear that, and whether they meant it or not, I don't know. But it was a frequent message. And we believed it as well. So it's nice.
Yeah. And watching in that time, like they'd had some devastating news. Some of the team had, you know, bought houses, you know, like there were international players who'd bought houses in Perth and made a commitment to WA, and then the team was completely cut. So I feel like it had been a deceiving kind of point for them. You know, a lot of them were hurt and a lot of them were, you know, they've got families to look after. Some of them were expecting, like you said, and you've got to coach people through that. How do you didn't only just, you know, get the team to be floating, like surviving. You got them thriving, and you ended up being able to get them through to the finals and everything after that. Can you talk us through how you got from those moments to getting them into the win and being able to keep that fight in them, even though it was still turbulent at the time as well?
Yeah, and I think each year presented its different challenge, and it was hard. You've just touched on a lot there, and I think the coming in 2018 and as a startup club after 2017, there was obviously a lot of excitement around starting up again, and there was that love affair and the honeymoon period, which is beautiful, but it was very challenging because some guys were on, and staff, players and staff were on 6-month contracts, 8-month contracts, 10 or 12-month contracts. And the reason for that was we didn't know what was beyond 2018, where the club was going to go, what competition it was going to be in. Obviously, Andrew and Nicola were had a lot to do with starting up the Western Force and Rugby WA again. So it was beautiful that year. It was unreal, and there was so much enjoyment with that group of players because it was either guys who had been at the Western Force for a while and stayed loyal and wanted to commit to the Force for what lay ahead, but then there were new players coming in as first ever professional players.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard, but I think I go back to that enjoyment piece. We had to enjoy that year, and we did have a lot of fun, and we got to travel the world a bit that year, which was awesome. In 2019, the competition was growing. I think it changed to global rapid rugby then.
Mm-hmm.
We were still in the national rugby championship, which we won in 2019, which was excellent. And a lot of celebrations, Becky, and then as that happened, COVID came, and Western Force re-entered back into Super Rugby, and again challenging. We go away in a hub, for 3 months, so huge challenge living away from home for that period. So every year was different, but very challenging, and we still weren't on multi-year contracts at that point. I think they started to come through from memory at the end of 2020, mid 2020, when there was a bit more security around where the Western Force was heading, which was back into Super Rugby.
Mm-hmm.
And then our first year back into Super Rugby, and we're still transitioning out of Global Rapid Rugby. We were under-resourced with staff, and the playing squad was we had to shift the dynamics of the squad a bit, entering back into Super Rugby, and we were probably 50% less on our players' spend than what other Super Rugby clubs were. So it was hard, but we had some fantastic performances, and right through to 2021 and 2022, the club was building out. I believed and still believe it was heading in the right direction. We had some fantastic players coming through, and the final game for me as head coach and a few senior players who'd committed to the club for a while. We beat the Hurricanes, who had 9 All Blacks on the field that night, and we had 2 Wallabies out on the field, and that to me is success. We didn't make the finals that year. Success, obviously, in this industry is a lot around the wins and losses, and of course, winning is really important. Yeah. But I think success can be determined in other ways as well, and I think the success that from when I walked out of the building for my last day, I look back on it, was that the success we had was around individual performances. Some guys were in the Wallaby squad at that point. I think we had 3 or 4 in 2023, which was unreal. Success we had with the rugby community. I think that's success. If you've got really good relationships with your community, your stakeholders, your staff was buzzing at that point. Yeah, that's success, and as well as your wins and losses.
Yeah, you created that vibe, and we're also lucky that Twiggy had an interest in rugby.
Yeah.
to get that going. But
So
it
true.
doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't just take one person. It doesn't just take, like a squad or a team, like you said. You had to get everybody involved and keep everybody fighting. And you did have some epic crew there. Like I remember watching. It was like with Sitch and Marcel and like Heisey and Thrushy came on board, and I remember just being so excited by game day. I remember being so excited because you didn't know what to expect, but you knew that they were also solid as a team and as players when they were like ready to go. But like you said, there were good people on the field and there were great people off the field as well. And for myself, like I just had a perception, I think when I was younger, based on growing up in a small country town, that sometimes clubs and football teams and rugby teams, they can be a little bit mongrel full stop, and that's what it is. And so for me, it was so refreshing to be surrounded by a club of gentlemen and of good people on and off the field. I was staff at the time working at the gym and became friends with a lot of them. And I think that is a testament to who you guys were surrounded by, but also by the morals. But it's like a hiring process. You know what I mean?
Mm.
How do you? Double barrel question. How do you go with the hiring and choosing those people when they're coming on board? And then also, how do you deliver news? So you said you went from, a 50% player spend, so you obviously had to deliver a lot of really shitty news to people. How do you do that? Like when you're delivering that news to people who you've been with a lot of the time, you've consoled through some shitty times in their life, and they've been a part of your team. How do you deliver that news? How do you stay Tim in those moments when you're delivering that?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's probably the toughest part of the job is that news as well as a Monday morning selection conversation. But I keep going back to it, Becky. Is that respect? If I feel like I have the respect with the players, and then tell them the shitty news of not re-signing someone, and give them reasons why, and be honest with that, and not beat around the bush. I think that's important. So it's never easy. Some like through COVID when we came back from the hub, because decisions had to be made really quickly around recontracting and shaping our squad for the following year, because we'd found out we're going back into Super Rugby. I had to do a couple over Zoom because we're in quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
and their managers, the player managers, were reaching out to us saying, well, something else, you might have something else on the table, and I spoke to the club obviously and said, we got to do this now. We can't wait for 2 weeks until we come out of quarantine, or another week, whatever. Like, we've got to tell these guys now. Like, they really want to know. So that was brutal.
Yeah.
Telling guys they're not re-signed over Zoom.
Yeah.
Just the whole timing of it being in quarantine was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a memory, if you don't mind me asking, do you have a memory of, like, in your career, having to let somebody go? And I know that it's not always it's your decision, and some of the time it's probably not all of your decision at all. So you're the messenger for a lot of the time for things when it comes to clubs. Can you remember one of the players that you had to let go that you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this? I know for a lot of them, but is there anything that sticks out with that?
Yeah. And one was over Zoom. I had his number dialed in my phone, I reckon, over 3 days, and I just couldn't come to pressing dial. Because I had a lot of time for him. He'd sacrificed a lot. He'd been through a couple of serious injuries as well. So that was one occasion. Another one, sit down face to face, was he again had 3 serious injuries, knee injuries, and when delivered the news to him, there was emotion, and he said, well, what am I going to do? And that's hard. It's someone's life, and I'm sure in a lot of industries people go through the same, but to deliver someone that news and to see them emotional and questioning what sort of work he's going to go to is very difficult. But if look them in the eye and be straight up and down and honest, and that's all you can do.
Get it done. Yeah, rip off the Band-Aid kind of thing. And then so from the Force, you ended up going to the East Coast. Boo hiss. No. You ended up going to the East Coast with the Rebels over there. So talk us through that part of the journey because, something similar happened with them, but you were at a different end of that. Talk us through the journey then from going for the Western Force over to the East Coast and the Rebels.
Yeah, so it happened pretty quick, thankfully, that I got to move on to another job. I knew a couple of staff members over there at the Rebels, and they're very good people. And I got some good advice after the Force from a mentor, and he said, Tim, it's really important the next environment you go into, you need to be around good people.
Mm-hmm.
And he was bang on because when I got there and was in that environment for a few months, it made sense with what he meant, and because I needed to get the enjoyment back into my coaching, which I did, and still to this day they're probably some of the best staff that I've been around. They're superb, and we're thriving down there.
Mm-hmm.
I think again I had a good feel about the club and where it was heading, and the squad was building out. The main thing was just bloody good humans there, really good people.
Yeah. And so did the whole family go over? Like I know that as an athlete in sport, your whole family commits to you being either an athlete or a coach. What's the toughest part about being involved in sport when it comes to family?
Yeah. The toughest part is living away from them, no doubt. And after I didn't get re-signed here with the Force, Chris and I had a good chat, and the girls were just starting high school, and we just made a decision, look, we'll get the girls through high school, and wherever I end up, whether it's within Australia or overseas somewhere, we'll stay based in Perth, and we love Perth.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that's the decision, is just to get the girls through high school, which we've still got another couple of years there.
Mm-hmm.
Was to live over there in Melbourne, which is hard. It's living away from your family, and especially teenage daughters. It's difficult. You put a lot on, obviously, a lot of on Kristen. She's working as well, has her own job and her own life to live, and thankfully she's unbelievable support and amazing woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the other difficult thing with that is the youngest, she suffered a bit of separation anxiety, and it was really hard to get on the phone or FaceTime or anything like that. So that was hard, but we're through that, and now I can't get them off the phone. It's awesome.
Which is awesome. I saw you at a father-daughter dance the other day. Like, it must be nice in that off-season, because now you're in Fiji. Obviously, you had the stint with the Rebels, and now you're over in Fiji, which is like a whole different ball game. Literally, like you're in a whole different country. I know they're in the same kind of league, but teenage daughters, 100%, regardless of what you do, the girls are beautiful. And like you said, it helps that you have a legend of a wife in Kristen, like holding down the fort. What has been some of the toughest parts of having, I suppose, being a girl dad or being a dad in general, of watching them grow up, like the things that you weren't expecting or things that you have felt of being a parent in your job, but also just as a human and as a father?
Yeah, I think, well, first off, it's taking, as we do as parents, is taking a bit of pressure off Kristen. Like she's living at 24/7, so that's very hard. But with the girls, it's just those little one-on-one conversations that you have when, might be in the car with them, and we're putting on our favourite songs together in a 20-minute drive, and play our favourite tunes together when I drive them to school or whatnot, or just walk down and just have a little hot chocolate or coffee, just those priceless moments. And as you touched on there before, just to be able to have the opportunity while I'm home at the moment from Fiji is to go to something like the Year 12 dinner dance a couple of weeks ago. I cherish that, and I only went for a couple of hours. I was ready to keep going, but
You're ready to kick on. You look sharp as a tack. She looks stunning as well. I can imagine it's like, I've got a niece who's 10 and a nephew who's 9, and watching them go through the transition of being a kid to, like becoming young adults and everything like that. It's scary, but it's also the most amazing thing when you see that their beautiful personality, they're kind, they're generous. You've given them that, the morals and the values, and they've been able to watch you do it. And definitely through watching the girls grow up and watching you with your family, not to be a creep, but a little bit, is that, you can see that that's instilled in the girls and that they're good kids.
Yeah, and I thank you. And like people, they say, when do you switch off? From rugby and watching them play netball on a Saturday afternoon. It's my time where I zone out, and I love it. And that's something I miss when I'm away, is not watching them. To do what they love, whatever it is. And I went down to, the girls go to Iona, so they had chorale last week where their house gets up and sing a song. So I went down and watch that for 2 hours, all the different houses sing, I just love it, and see them smiling, and they think they're great singers, especially my eldest, but
Hey, you find joy in that. And that's the thing, is having that time. Like, I love that you talked about with the acronym that you use of TRUE, and part of that is, like at the end, enjoy and finding joy. I think definitely when you've had challenging life and challenging moments, it's finding joy in every moment. And it seems like, like you're working in Fiji. It is not. What's the flight over there? And you were talking about as well, some of the players over there, it's like a 12-hour boat ride and a 3-hour bus ride to get to where they are. Their conditions are completely different. They don't necessarily have the resources. You've gone from having, well-resourced to, like teetering on trying to find your own way through the resources and get the best out of those teams. How have you gone with that? Like, the isolation from being away from family is one thing, but then also working with a completely different team in a completely different country. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I was leaving the Rebels, which again was challenging because, as we know, they went through exactly what the Western Force went through in 2017. So I was on the other side this time. I was going through a lot of uncertainty in 2023, but then to unfortunately wind up there, which was out of our control, but to land, the role in Fiji was, I was so grateful for it, and I was at crossroads. I just, after end of Western Force, great year at the Rebels, and it was all heading in the right direction. Then to receive that news, I was, God, do I keep going here? Like, this is tough, and it's putting a lot of pressure on family. Which is the nature of the business, I know, but I thought, 7 years it was at that point, 8 years maybe coaching. 3/4 of those 8 years have been bloody hard. Like the first few years, the challenges of not knowing where the Western Force was going, and then the Rebels, it's not how it's meant to be, but Fiji's awesome. It's the people are so beautiful. It's a great club. They've got great people over there that in the high performance staff, they're unreal. But that little bit further away from home, it doesn't make it any easier at all. It's obviously a bit harder, but you put the positive spin on it. And Chris and the girls came over for about 3 weeks for a holiday last January, and got to experience living over there, which is unreal. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, and the rugby lads are just fantastic to coach. They ask for nothing. You talk about work hard and stay humble. That's them to a T. Yeah.
So would you say that's the biggest difference with working in Australia compared to Fiji, or what are like 3 of the biggest differences when it comes to coaching different countries, different teams, and their ethos and how they show up with family and their values and everything as well?
Yeah, so they're big on culture and values and family, and I think that they're a young club. They've only 4 years in Super Rugby now, so still evolving. We're all still learning over there, but we should be through that now. Coming into the 5th year, There's some unbelievable athletes over there. Probably the biggest differences are of the cultural side of things. That was a bit of an adjustment for me, is to get an understanding of their day-to-day, what they need to go through to get prepared or be prepared, where they come from. As you said, some of these lads come from islands well away from where our training base is in Nandi. A couple of hours on a bus and then 10, 12 hours on a boat to get to the little island, and then they go and perform on the world stage at a World Cup and make the quarterfinals, and extremely close to making semi-finals of the World Cup. And I think, wow, like, you've come from this tiny little island over here, whether their training field or rugby field doesn't have much grass on it, and or long grass, and they're so naturally gifted, which is, they're a pleasure to coach. So yeah, that's probably a difference, is they drive to the training field in the back of their ute, and pile about 12 blokes in the back just to get to our training field, which is okay over there. So those little differences, which I just sit back and think is fantastic.
Yeah, which is such a pleasure to be able, and such an honour to be able to be a part of a different culture as well, and see how lucky we are and how lucky they are. And so what is so a lot of the guys over there, are they doing it for themselves, doing it for their family? Are a lot of them have a Northern Star that's a little bit different, or does it seem like everybody's the same who's playing the same game?
Yeah, I think that they're so grateful for to represent the Drua, and the Drua have a massive following over there. It's their sport, their number one sport, and I think I heard recently that they sell the most merchandise out of any Super Rugby club.
Really?
There's, I think, might have been nearly a third of the population that they had stats around this that tune in to watch the Fijian Drua play every weekend, which is huge. And there's, I mean, with that, there's little challenges that come as well with these guys. And I remember one morning there, the team manager came in and said, "Oh, this particular player, he's just a little bit tired from last night. He didn't sleep much." And we thought, "Oh, I hope he's okay. Is he sick? Was he up sick?" No. The team manager said, because it was a real windy, stormy night, he said, no, he was just standing up all night holding the roof down in his village, because he still lives in his village. He's got a young family. So he said he was just holding the roof down because of the high winds. I'm like, holy dooly, like, send him home. He's okay to go home today. Like, he doesn't have to train. No, he wants to train. So he goes out and trains. You wouldn't know. Trains a house down. Goes and after training, does his gym, and then goes off home. It's unbelievable.
It's just wild to think the difference, isn't it? And like, here we stress about the smallest little things, but it's that gratitude to have a roof over your head that you literally don't have to hold down. Who would have thought that would be something that you'd have to think about, or that you'd have to navigate as a coach? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that we could talk for so long around, for days on what you've learned, I suppose. But one thing I would love to leave it on is, like, what's the biggest thing, I suppose, that you've learned being in Fiji? What's the biggest thing that you've learned being in Fiji and working alongside those crew over there?
Yeah, it's fun. And that I needed it. After we go back to the Rebels, I needed to get back over there and enjoy it again. Living in Fiji and coaching, I think the other thing I've learnt pretty quickly over there is they obviously are very highly skilled players, and can do anything that they put their mind to. But the thing that I keep reminding myself is just to keep focusing on the key foundations of our game, or my attack philosophy, coaching philosophy, is don't, just because they can do some ridiculous stuff out on the field, is keep working and coaching the core skills of the game, because you don't want to get we don't want to leave that focus on every day.
Yeah.
They need it. Every player needs it.
Yeah. I love that. And One thing that I actually would love to ask, because it's the biggest sport for them in that country, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, like, yes, there would be with other teams, but it's like you have to win, you have to show up your best. How do you go navigating what comes with that, having to hold them through the pressure that they have to feel over there?
Yeah, they cop a lot of pressure, which is probably the sad side of it, because when we don't perform well, they do cop it through social media channels, and which it's unfortunate and it's brutal. And I think because of lifestyle over there, the players do read it a lot. They're on their phones a lot, so I think that's there's a bit of education there, which we've got to assist the players on. But it's hard for them, to read it, understand the attacks on them personally or at the team, and it's pretty brutal. We've just got to win, don't we? Then everyone will be happy. So.
That's the thing. And then so easier said than done, isn't it, I suppose, as being a human. So what's your one piece of advice that you find yourself giving the most to friends, family, when you're coaching, or the thing that rings true to you when it comes to helping other people kind of be the best self?
Yeah, to stick to values. I'm a values-based coach, and I was raised a particular way by my parents, and am raising still my daughters in a particular way, and I think that's important. Just don't change. Stick to the values. And I had a coach recently ask me, he was questioning himself, around his coaching style. I said, mate, just stick to who you are. It's important. So stick to who you are and chase your dreams.
Yeah, go for it. Who would have anticipated that you'd be in Fiji right now? And is there anything, where to now? Where can we expect him to be? Well, what can we watch? What's coming up for Fiji and what's coming up for yourself?
Yeah, so I got another year over there in Fiji, and we've had a bit of a change around the squad. Not too many, but we lost some key personnel that they're heading to France and UK, but brought in some really talented players. So like everyone, all the other Super Rugby teams right now, we're, of course, going to have a good year. But it's pretty exciting because it's allowing us to bring through some younger players. And second year in, I've probably got a better understanding now of how it all works over there and understand the players a lot more. So hopefully have a better year than what we did this year.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's exciting because I'll probably come and visit over in Fiji. I'm not sure who else is coming over, but maybe we'll come and watch. You let us know which game we need to be there for, and we'll come and cheer you on.
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely Fiji sounds pretty amazing to me, like a beautiful island. But I so appreciate that you've made time in the off-season. Thank you for Twiggy for having an interest in rugby, for keeping it going, for calling you over, and Hodjo for bringing you here, so that your girls are still here, and it means that we get to have you in Perth in the off season. And thanks for making time for shedding some wisdom or sharing a part of what you've been able to learn.
Awesome, Becky. Thanks for having me. I love your work.
Pleasure.
Well,
I know that you would have enjoyed a lot of that. If there's something that stuck out for you that you think might be interesting for somebody else, please share it. And thank you for making time to listen today. It was such a pleasure to have you, Tim. I can't wait to share this with you all. If you've enjoyed today's episode, you've taken something away, maybe for yourself or somebody else, I would love for you to share, and I'd love to hear from you. We are always keen on having conversations that people want to have and tackling those really hard subjects. So reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me on the Resource Podcast, where we are making a ripple effect and making massive waves.